Chapter 26, 26 Universe. Before I could go and find Canilla, I felt her come running frantically over. Wait a second, I felt her. What is happening to me? Canilla pushes the door open and stands before me. What dimension or deity did you connect with? I didn't meet a deity or went to any dimension. Don't lie to me, Kyle. Look at yourself, you are glowing. Glowing what? I look at myself to see light coming out of me. What's happening, Canilla? What's happening? What's happening is that you are acting as a source of magic yourself, Kyle. What do you mean, Canilla? You are a generator, Kyle. You are making mana right now. You don't need to rely on dimensional or universal energy. What? How could it be? I don't even have a mana limit right now, and how is this possible? Wait a minute, I get it. Since I don't have a need to store mana and am generating it, I don't need to have a mana limit, but still, how? Even I don't know how is that possible. Tell me, Kyle, you really didn't connect with any deity or dimension? I didn't. I connected to a universe. What? You connected to a universe? Yes, is that too rare? Kyle, no one connects to a universe. No universe grants its power to any non-resident. Who did you meet there? Can't really tell everything to Canilla about Beyonder, otherwise she would be scared shitless. I met a being, he didn't have a name, he was alone and said that he was the universe. That being must have been insanely powerful to have made you a source of mana. What did you offer to him in return to seal the deal, Kyle? Your service, soul, or something else? I became friend with it. Canilla was flabbergasted. Looking at her, it felt like I completely broke every understand she had, and in a low voice she said, you became friends with it and it made you a generator? Yes. Kyle, what kind of an existence are you? Your talent made the stone glow white, for God's sake, a color which was never seen before on its Vibgya scale, and now you connect to a universe instead of a dimension. Tell me, Kyle, just what are you? Damn, my instant mastery really works magic. So that was the reason Canilla was intrigued when white light shone. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. I thought that connecting to a dimension would be too normal for our someday to be op MC, so I made him a source of magic himself. Thanks to everyone for suggesting so many cool names for the dimension. Sorry I couldn't use them even though I asked for them. Reviews and suggestions are welcomed. Comment. 30 comments. Vote. Chapter 27, 27 Odin's coming. Only after a while did Canilla calm down. Now that she was calmed, I saw a flicker of lights around her. What are those flickers of light around you? What flicker of lights? Are you okay? Must be my imagination. I lied to her. I clearly could see flickers of light around her. I just don't think she will be able to handle any more shocks. You are still glowing, you know. Oh yeah, I am glowing. Any ideas why? Authors. Note: just imagine the Adam Warlock but with a shining skin. Nope, I have no idea of whatsoever is going on with you. I could see that she was completely pissed by me and my existence. But before we do anything about you glowing, we need to contain the mana leaking off you. I could see it from miles, that's why I came running here. So what's wrong with that? Carl, I already told you, you are a generator of mana. There are a number of magicians who would give their life at a chance to lock you up and use you as a battery. I wouldn't like that. Oh Canilla, you do care about me, even though I doubt that there are many people out there who can lock me. We need to find a way for control the mana leaking, otherwise we need to find an artifact which could either hide or absorb it. For now let's go back. I will go in the library and try to find out answers. We even would need to deal with Odin. Wait a second, what, dealing with Odin? To say I was alarmed was an understatement. I know that I am powerful, but I don't think I am anywhere dealing with Odin right now. Well, what do you think? He wouldn't be coming here to check the situation after the surge of mana that happened here. Damn thought, I don't think he would do anything extreme to me. The MCU version of Odin played by Anthony Hopkins was quite mellow as compared to his comic counterpart. For now there are so many questions I need an answer to. What did the Beyonder do to me? Why I am glowing? What are those flickering lights? And how could I feel her coming here earlier? I need to do experiments and find how to use this gift by him. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo wrote this character in 20 minutes at my friend's house. Dropped my phone at service center. They say that the charging port's causing problem. It would take 3 to 4 days for them to fix and return it. So updates will be difficult for now. Comment. 33 comments. Vote. Chapter 28, meeting my friend again. We made our way back to Canilla's palace. She immediately went to the library to find some reasons for my recent abnormal experience. I went back to my room to sleep cause I felt really fatigued. I opened my eyes to find myself in a white room just like I did once before. Hello, said the Beyonder. Did you bring me here? The Beyonder nods with his head. So how long have you been here? I don't know how to answer that. Does he not have a concept of time? Do you know what time is? Time. I could see the curiosity in his eyes of wanting to know more. Time is how do I explain it to you? Wait a second, do you age? He shakes his head. This may become a double-edged sword, but can you see my memories? Yes. He comes forward to touch my head. I step back a few steps. Wait a minute, I didn't say you to do it. I thought you wanted me to. He makes a kind of sad face like a child's who was scolded for something not his fault. It's my mistake. I forgot that I am probably the first person he came in contact with. Need to teach him about boundaries and privacy. Okay, my fault. But could you look at only the memories I want to show you? He then touches my head. I then explain him concepts like time, privacy and boundaries. After my lesson was over and when I looked at him, his eyes looked a bit more mature than before. Oh, so that's what time means. I can't quantify how long have I been here. I was always here for as long as I can remember. Only thing I can remember is that I am this very universe. Suddenly I felt a pull on myself. Call me back later. I open my eyes to see Canilla and Odin. As soon as you get out of my eyes you have to do something to bring attention to you, don't you? What did I do now? You started giving out surges of mana even more than before. If Odin here hadn't controlled it, there would have been many magicians knocking at our doors. Careful, Canilla, you know I don't like it when you call me by my first name, and as for you, Carl Asmund, I would like to have an explanation. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Beyonder won't be coming to the universe anytime soon. Can't have an childlike character traveling with MC to solve his problems, can we? Updates would be difficult for now. Comment. 23 comments. Vote. Chapter 29, Odin's interrogation. So Carl Asmund, mind telling me what have you been up to become like this? Odin looked different to me right now than he did at my godhood ceremony. I could see similar flickers of light around him as I saw around Canilla, but his were glowing much brighter than Canilla's, though their shine had a bit of blackness in it. After which Canilla and I sat down to explain everything that had happened till now to him. So you connected to a universe instead of a dimension, and the being there made you a generator just because you became friends with it. Yes. Even I could see that Odin found it quite unbelievable. So what had happened just now when I came here for you to start giving out so much mana? I knew that there was no point lying. So I told the truth. It called me and I was talking with him until you pulled me. Hermodin looked like he was thinking and thinking hard. Camilla, come with me, I need to have some words with you, and as for you Carl, if you are called by that being then do come in this room before going. I have enchanted this room to not leak out mana. Why can't you do the same enchantment on me? Odin looked a bit pissed at me having questioned him, but he still answered my question. This enchanted restricts mana flow. I can cast it on you, but you won't be able to magic after that. Now tell me, do you want that? What hell no, I ain't losing all this power. I would rather prefer going berserk than weak. No, and thank you all, father. One day I am definitely going to learn his wordless enchantment. Camilla and Odin then left me, going to God knows where. Camilla POV. Odin and I go back to my throne room. How much of what he said do you believe, Camilla? Every word of it all, father. I have never seen a person more talented than him at magic. He learned what would take even the most talented person centuries in a decade. He even made the stone glow white when I tested his talent for magic. That caused even Odin to raise his eyebrows. White light splits to give Vibgya his talent couldn't be measured by the stone, thus it gave out white light. The main question is, why did that being give him so much power for just becoming his friend? For now we need to observe Carl. What do you mean observe Carl? Do you see him as a threat to Asgard? He is not yet, but that being might just be. Comment. 17 comments. Vote. Chapter 30, Control. Camilla POV. Wait a minute, Odin, are you saying that you are going to imprison him? I said. I never said that, Camilla. So what are you going to do? The enchantment in his room would alert me whenever he is called by that being. I would observe what happens at that time. Just want to remind you, Odin, Carl is my student. As long as he is not in the wrong, I won't allow you to do anything that may harm him. I am not afraid to fight. If it comes to that, I may not be able to defeat you, but I can definitely escape with Carl. Don't try to threaten me, Camilla, and as for Carl, as long as he doesn't threaten the safety of Asgard, I won't even hurt a hair on his head. And once again, don't test my patience, Camilla, by taking my name without proper respect. Camilla POV ends. Carl POV. I could feel Camilla and Odin going to the throne room. For now let's sit and try to control this mana. I then tried to perform some basic spells. Each of these were coming off more powerful than they did before, but I lacked the control I previously had over them. Need to work on my control. Can't accidentally kill people because I couldn't even control my spell. But on the bright side, I have enough mana now to teleport myself to Earth, but can't do it now with my messed up control. I may end up God knows where. Practicing my spells helped me control my mana more and more with time. After few days I was able to feel mana leaking out of me. So much mana wasted. What if I try to control this mana? After a few more days and many experiments, I was able to control that mana and prevent it from leaking out of my body. Though it doesn't solve my problem of glowing up, I am still glowing. I went to ask Camilla whether there was something different with me. She told me that she could still sense that I was a generator, but that no mana was leaking out of me. Camilla kept calling me a generator. This made me have an inspiration. Generators have an on and off switch, so why can't I have an on and off switch? I can't go totally in and off mode, cause then I won't be able to use magic, since I won't be able to use my mana, and I can't use the traditional way of magic. Personal magic is right out. I don't want to use my life force. Universal force won't work for me now that I am connected to some other universe. This universe won't allow me to use its energy. Author's note: consider it like a wife having thrown you out of the house after she found you cheating on her with someone else. Here the wife is the universe, and I don't have a dimension for dimensional energies. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Just want to throw this out there, Beyonder does not have a gender. Comment. 51 comments. Vote. Chapter 31, 31 Aru. Why do I keep facing more problems after problems? Even though I had a small mana limit, at least I could still do magic and not have people coming after me. Wait a second, mana limit storing mana in an object, I can use it. I immediately went and bought certain jewelry like rings, earrings and necklace to test my theory. I already knew the way to store mana in objects, but storing and using mana from stored objects isn't a popular method because it is difficult to make such an object and the rate of successfully making it is low, and only the person who makes it can use it properly, as if someone else uses it then it causes certain side effect. After having everything I needed, I began to run my experiments, and each of the jewelry burst or just couldn't contain my mana. My mana was easily corroding it. I needed a stronger elements. Elements that came into my minds were adamantium and vibranium, but I couldn't get my hands on them since they were on Earth. Only metal I knew that could be available on Asgard was Uru. I then went to ask Canilla about where I can get Uru. It was easy for me to find her as I could feel her. Canilla, can you tell me where I can get some Uru? Why do you need Uru, Carl? I then explained to her what I wanted to do. She was impressed to see the theory I had thought of. There's some Uru in the treasury, you can go get it later, but do you know forging, to convert it into anything wearable, or are you just going to carry a lump of metal everywhere? I am thinking of going to the dwarfs, they are the best at forging, so they should be able to the best possible. And how are you going to convince dwarfs to do a custom project for them? Did you hit your head and suddenly thought you were Odin to get them agree to it? No, but I know a reason why they would. Okay, since you are so confident, then we will go to the treasury, get the Uru and go see the dwarfs later on. Okay. Creators' thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Not possible to write and upload a chapter today, so expect the next update tomorrow. Comment. 27 comments. Vote. Chapter 32, 32 Agreement. After picking up the Uru, Canilla and I made our way to Nidavellir to meet with Eitri. Dwarfs usually don't meet with people other than to do business, but they agree to meet with us as they held goodwill towards Asgardians due to Odin. Dwarfen goods, mostly weapons, are sold for a lot on the market, so they are very popular. Nidavellir looked just like it looked in Avengers: Infinity War, but their star was still burning. Author's note: no idea if what word to use here, maybe ablaze. You guys should understand what I mean right now. And there were a lot of dwarfs in Nidavellir too, unlike how in the movie only Eitri was the one surviving. Let me tell you all this, whoever named their race dwarfs didn't know the meaning of the word. All of them were larger than a normal Asgardian, with Eitri being tallest of them all. We were taken to a central room where Eitri was sitting on a big-ass seat. On seeing us, specifically Canilla, he stood up and came forward to greet us once again, specifically Canilla. After which we were left alone with him. Nice to meet you after so long, Canilla, the Queen of Norns, with a big smile. Nice to see you again, Eitri, and it has been really long, hasn't? 3 centuries and 22 years to be specific, but who cares about that. So finally, what brings you to visit this poor fellow? Well, my student here Carl wanted you help in making something with Uru. He finally took a look at me for the first time since we entered the room. You took a student after what happened with you, apprentice Canilla, or just what did he do to convince you for it? Well, when a top-grade talent comes and delivers itself on your front door, you become quite tempted to take it under you. Then he took a look at me for the second time since we entered the room, though this time he was scrutinizing me. He doesn't look too impressive to me. Well, he is quite good at giving people surprises. Canilla. knowing that Itri wouldn't talk with me until she was there left after making some small talks with him. So kid, tell me, why should I make whatever it is you want? Well, I can guarantee to show you a metal which is capable of absorbing all kinds of vibrations and such good alcohol to make you forget what you drink now. Show me and then I will decide. I don't have either of them now, but I will have it in the future and I will definitely give them to them. I will believe you for now, kid. You are Canilla's student, so I would ask here for reparations if you fail to deliver and label you as an enemy of dwarfsome J. Clear. Crystal. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Thanks to users Arus for giving the idea of using alcohol. My take on Itri would be different than MCU for now, as his race has not yet been destroyed at this point of time. Comment. 35 comments. Vote. Chapter 33, 33 Forging. So what is it do you want us to make? I then explained to him about me wanting to store mana in it for use. What shape do you want it in? Gauntlet for my hand. Oh, I am so going to love seeing the look on Thanos's face later on. You would have to stay here for as long as it takes to make it, cause you would have to supply your mana into it at every step of forging to make it yours and only yours. Can I stay there and watch when you are making it? Want to see the famous dwarfen forging, kid? Sure, you can watch it. Itri and I then went out to meet Canilla. Canilla then stayed with us at Nidavellir for a few days, after which she left. Let me tell you something, dwarfs are simple-minded, being a bit arrogant when regarding to forging, but otherwise simple and excellent at holding their liquor. They could finish a barrel of alcohol easily and wouldn't get tipsy till the third barrel. I had to spend most of my days watching Itri make my gauntlet. For those thinking why Itri is making the gauntlet for me, it is because Canilla asked him to do so, and to which Itri agreed to in a second. So here we were with Itri, the king of dwarfs, making a gauntlet for me. The reason behind why I had asked Itri to allow me to watch was to find a chance to look at their forging and maybe secretly learn it. I asked Itri a lot of questions during the time he was forging. I was able to pick up forging up to a bit, though he was quite annoyed with my constant questioning. And directly asked while laughing, "Do you think you can learn forging just by watching?" "Maybe I will." That got a boisterous laugh from Itri and the dwarfs near us. All of whom thought I was a fool. Oh, I am going to love proving them all wrong. During the day I was with Itri looking at him working on the gauntlet, and at night would find scrapes and use them to practice my forging. There was no lack of materials on Nidavellir, so it was kind of easy to always find material to try forging on. While I was working today, I suddenly heard a voice behind me. "So this is what you have been up to." Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Thanks to user Wally for the gauntlet idea. Comment. 48 comments. Vote. Chapter 34, 34 My Gauntlet. Ha, oh Itri, it's you. So you have been trying your hand at forging, huh? Yes, found it interesting. You had already figured it out, hadn't you? When you started asking questions I thought it was only on a whim, but your questions began to ask more details, and that two important ones, so I figured you would be working. Showing him some of the things I had forged, I asked him for an assessment. So how did I do? Pretty good for a novice who learnt only through watching. Thanks. That was a pretty high advice coming from him, as Itri was always serious when it comes to forging and wouldn't give out praises when the produced good was not up to his standard. You know, you could have asked for some guidance from me. Really, you would have taught me. I was clearly shocked at this. Don't get your hopes high, kid. I would have only taught you the basics, that too only because of your talent. We dwarfs don't teach our technique to anyone other than dwarfs. Yeah, I knew he wouldn't. You have gotten a bit thinner from before, haven't you? After Itri said that, I too noticed that I had gotten thinner from before. Yeah, I guess so. Don't overwork yourself, kid, and go to sleep. You have dark circles under your eyes. Saying so, he departs. I took a look at a mirror in the bathroom later on and did notice that I was a bit thinner and looked a bit starved than before. Well, let's just go to sleep and we will deal with it later. The next day. Kid, your mana storage device would be ready by the night, cause there's only one thing remaining to complete the process, said Itri. Overloading it with my mana, I replied. Exactly, looks like you really did learn things, kid. Come on, let's finish it. After few hours, I gauntlet had finally finished and was there in front of my eyes. It looked so much like the one Thanos had, but not too much. I had mine be blue in color, so it went with my hair. Here, kid, your gauntlet. After wearing the gauntlet, I had decided to go on and do my experiments, but before that I had to bid the dwarfs goodbye. They all treated me quite well in my stay. So I guess this is goodbye, asked Itri. Yes, but I will be back later to keep my promise. You better. I then teleported back to Nornheim. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. So life hit me really hard this week, went through some difficulties due to which I couldn't post. It would be difficult to post lots of chapter in a single day now, so let's see what happens. Comment. 29 comments. Vote. Chapter 35, not a chapter. Fine, no more hate about his name. Comment in this chapter, cool names, and the most liked would become the name. Don't write swear or abusive words for name. I will not edit the name in the previous chapters, but in the future he would be called whatever is chosen. For information, I choose the name Kyle from GTA SAT. And he will interfere in the normal MCU timeline in the future and make changes to it, so don't worry about that, at least wait for it to start. For those asking about super intelligence and how it was a waste of a wish that didn't even come true, he was a kid even though he reincarnated, but still his mind hasn't reached the level of maturity to use his intelligence properly. His mind starts like that of a kid, and with time he will become more intelligent, but there's a catch here too. Just like his nerfed instant mastery, his intelligence would be nerfed too. He would be as intelligent or even more than Reed Richard or Doom or Tony Stank, but won't be the most intelligent person in the universe. I never did like novels where the reincarnated into a super intelligent baby who has already changed the laws of physics before he even started walking. Comment. 62 comments. Vote. Chapter 36, 35 knocked out. New name Valley Asmund. I teleported myself back to my room in Nornheim and then went to show my gauntlet to Canilla. How does the gauntlet look, Canilla? I said that while handing over the gauntlet to Canilla. It's good, worthy of being called Itri's work, but you on the other hand don't look so good. You look much more thinner and have bags under your eyes. Are you okay? Yeah, it's okay. I am just a bit tired and will take rest later. For now I am going to be doing my experiments and will see you later then. After saying so, I left for my room to finally work on my glowing problem. I then channeled and placed a lot of my mana into the gauntlet, which it absorbed, and a strange thing happened. It started glowing too as it stored my mana. After a while and after storing my mana, I finally decided to perform my off/on experiment. As soon as I tried to switch the generation of mana off, everything went black. Canilla POV. I can't sense Valley's mana. His experiment must have worked. I should go and congratulate him and tell him to take some rest. He is not looking so good nowadays. I made my way to his room and after knocking for a while, when he still didn't open his door, I teleported inside only to find Valley knocked out. What the hell did you do, Valley? He is still breathing, but what did he do to himself? 2 weeks have passed and Valley is asleep. I need to get a second opinion, but the only one I can think of is Odin. 4 weeks have passed since Valley fell asleep. I have tried everything I could to wake him up, but he didn't. There's no point IJ delaying anymore. I need to take him to Odin. Later with Odin. So you are telling me that he fell asleep trying to stop more mana from being generated? Yes, I know that sounds odd, but he didn't quite like to glow and be a signal for everyone as a generator. He worked so hard for this that he started growing thinner day by day and looked fatigued. Did he start becoming thinner since he came in contact with the being who changed his body and has been glowing and generating mana? Maybe he has not stayed in a single place except for Nadavla since that happened, so I can't be sure. But why is that important? I think I know why this is happening. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. Has it ever happened with you that you solved one big problem and as soon as you did another even bigger one came up? Comment. 38 comments. Vote. Chapter 37, 36. How long? Slowing opening my eyes, I find myself in a bed in a beautiful room which was not mine. I feel much better than I did before, like a weight was lifted off my chest. And I was not glowing anymore, and I tried to feel mana which I found I couldn't guess, like my experiment worked. Let's go out and see where I am. Turns out I am in Odin's palace. How did I get here, and for how long was I out for? I then saw Tyr coming towards me. I didn't feel him coming here. It means that I can only feel people when I am a generator. I assume you slept well. Yeah, I feel much better now than I did before. How was I out for? Well, Father has called for you, so I think he will answer all of your questions. We then made our way to the throne room. After a while Odin entered the room. Valley Asmund, do you know how long have you been asleep for? No idea. Damn, how long was I asleep for to cause such a commotion? You were asleep for about 3 years. Well, 3 years not too long considering my lifespan, but still not a small amount. Odin then continued to explain. Your body was not able to handle the strain that generating mana was placing on your body, due to which you fell asleep as soon as you controlled and switched it off, helping your body recuperate. Good thinking for doing that, even if that was only because you didn't like glowing. If you hadn't, then you would have grown weaker with time, ultimately falling in a coma. Though you would only be able to use mana right now through the gauntlet that you had made and stored your mana into. I never thought that me getting thinner was because of the changes IT did to me. I thought it was only fatigue that was catching up to me due to the work I was doing. Everything has a price. Generating mana took a toll on your body, but it's all right now unless you get into that mode again. Though I believe that if you use that mode for a small amount of time, then you wouldn't strain your body to fall asleep for few years, but only for a month. But the important question for now is that can you start generating mana again? No, I hadn't worked how to turn it on. After turning it off at that time I lied. Can't have one of my life-saving trump card out in the open. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. So the way it will work is like Valley would have to enter that mode for generating mana and sensing people around him, as well as for seeing the light around them, though it will put a bit of strain on his body if he keeps it for long. For now he will be using the gauntlet for doing magic unless he needs to go into that mode. Comment. 34 comments. Vote. Chapter 38, 37. Realization. Well, then I suggest you to find some way to use mana once you consume all the mana in your gauntlet, since you won't be able to do magic due to your unique condition. I will. I don't need to worry about that. I will just go into my battle mode. Yes, I am calling it my battle mode whenever I need to replenish the mana. After that I paid my respect and bid goodbye to Odin and left with Tyr. You should go and visit Asmund and Camilla. They were worried the entire time you were asleep. And you weren't. Nope, I knew you would pull through. Father said that you will wake up but didn't know how long it would take. We then went towards my house. Dad still stayed at the same place as he did years ago. When I saw him I noticed that he had more wrinkles on his face than he did in the past. He must have worried a lot about me. With tears in my eyes I said, "Hi Dad." He runs towards me and embraces me. "It's good that you are back. Come on in, let me make some food for you." Giving me and my dad some privacy, Tyr leaves without saying anything. Looking at Asmund's back and the smile on his face made me tear up once again. Too much feelings for me, but I was definitely in the wrong. I never did think of him as my father all the while I have been here. I couldn't let go of my parents from my previous life. Maybe it's time to do so now. I have been in this universe for so long, I need to let go of the past that I can't go back to. Asmund has always loved me like a father loves his son, but I never did reciprocate that. As I was having this realization I felt something finally changing in me, something trying to crawl its way out, a damn exploding cause it could not hold back. I instantly knew what it was. I now knew my domain and the godhood I had. I had finally completed the final step of finding my godhood, and I knew what it was. I am Vali Asmund, god of Samsara. I have died and been reborn again, maybe due to the intervention of Lord Chaos, but I still did, and now that I have finally taken this reality as my own I understand that I am a part of it and can and will have to cause changes to the timeline. All this time I considered everyone here just as a character in a story and never did pay attention to them as people, understanding their feelings and emotions, only worried about getting stronger so that I can watch all the events happen. What would be the difference between me and the Watchers if I do so? I need to protect all those close to me and never bow to anyone and ultimately reach the level of Lord Chaos. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. So Vali is the god of Samsara. From now on it will take him some time to find and control all the power that comes with it, and he has finally decided to make changes to the timeline. Comment. 58 comments. Vote. Chapter 39, 38 Travel. For the next few weeks I stayed with Asmund and worked on figuring out my powers. I was more stronger than before. I understood why Tyr at the beginning told me to find my domain. It's a major boost to your power. I had even tried to use magic with the mana in the gauntlet. When I did magic I felt like I had much more control on it than before. I went into my battle mode and found that I started glowing as soon as I turned it on. I could feel people around me, and depending on their mana pool or powers, they appeared shining to me like Canilla and Odin had, and the shine depended on their power. I had teleported to Nornheim and met Canilla too. She was happy to see me. She advised me to not depend on my battle mode for long as it had quite a toll on my body. I assured her that I wouldn't, and after a few days of staying in Nornheim I left back to live with my dad and work on my powers. Few years passed like this with me trying to get better at using my powers, but with time I felt stagnated. I couldn't make any more progress, and when I asked Tyr for some advice he told me to travel to go on a journey of self-discovery. Almost all of the Asgardian gods have gone on for travels in their time. Even Odin had traveled the 9 realms in his youth. Well, this gives me a good excuse to go to Earth, though I have no idea what year it should be over there, cause Thor still has not been banished by Odin. I have 2 methods currently to travel to Earth. One was to get permission from Odin to use the Bifrost, or I could teleport myself, but it would be difficult cause I don't have the coordinates of Earth, so I decided to go with the first method. I arranged a meeting with Odin to request for the use of Bifrost. So Vali Asmund, why would you want to go to Midgard, a place with weak mortals? I have stagnated in my practice and would like to gain more experience. Tyr suggested me to travel as it will help me in gaining more experience. Very well, then I permit you the use of Bifrost, but a fair warning: no needless killing of the mortals. You are a god and should act befitting of a god. I understand. Saying so I left and bid goodbye to Asmund, Canilla and Tyr, and made my way to Bifrost to meet Heimdall and get to Earth. Finally Earth I am coming. Comment. 61 comments. Vote. Chapter 40, 39 Unexpected Meeting. How should I say this, but Heimdall is quite intimidating in the movies. Seeing the charismatic Idris Elba play him, you don't notice it. But in person it feels like his glare pierces through you and can everything about you. I can't see you, said Heimdall in a gruff tone. Okay, it felt somewhat weird to me that Heimdall could see everyone else at all time, and I stress upon it, at all time. No matter what you are doing he could still peep at you. Though it surprised me that he couldn't see me. Any specific place you have in mind to land at? Asked Heimdall. No, drop me anywhere and I will find my way. Usually if someone wants to come back he calls my name and I find him and open the Bifrost, but for you I can't do it since I can't seem to see you with my eyes. You would have to send your coordinates to me with magic to open Bifrost for you. After saying so, Heimdall powers up the Bifrost and gestures to me to go. The Allfather was right, there are no strings of fate on him, thought Heimdall as he looked at Valley's back. Traveling through Bifrost is such a beautiful experience. It's like getting high on drugs. You feel like you are floating in space with bright lights surrounding you. I was broken out of my state when I suddenly fell on the ground. Picking myself up and looking around, I see lush fields all around me with crop circles drawn on the area I am standing on. The crop circles were due to Bifrost. The designs were actually runes which were responsible for travel between the realm. Without these runes it would require large amount of energy for traveling through the realms. I should probably go look for some habitat and find out just where and when in the timeline I am. I walked through the fields for a while looking for someone. I didn't use magic to fly or teleport short distance as I don't want to scare people before I meet them. Suddenly I felt ripples of mana near me. Someone was teleporting near me. I see a figure come before me and with a smile greets me. Hello Asgardian, mind having a tea with me? Comment. 33 comments. Vote. Chapter 41, 40 Interrogation. In Comatage. Currently I am with Ancient One having a nice cup of tea in a room in Comatage. Nice place with good scenery if I have to say something about it. She seemed to be enjoying her tea, having no attention on me. I finally decided to break the silence. Am I a special case or do you greet everyone who comes to Midgard? I asked, starting at her. Well, I usually don't go and take a look at every person coming to Earth, but when the person visiting Earth could potentially kill a large number of people, then I do have to take a look at the person. If you don't mind me asking, what is the reason for visiting Earth? So the cross-examination starts. She wants to know whether I am a threat or not. I am here for traveling, got bored up there, not much happens over there to pass time. Well, what I said is the truth, though I can't just say to her that Earth is the focal point of the MCU and I am here to play with it. Traveling, you say, huh, said the Ancient One. Though she didn't look convinced. Well, as long as you don't cause unnecessary destruction then it's all okay. Well, did you like the tea? Yeah, I did, one of the best I have ever tasted, even better than some present on Asgard. I wasn't lying here. That's good to hear. So any place you have in mind to visit on your travels? None currently, I have just dropped here without any plan, so would probably only wander and look around. Could you provide me with a map? It would help me in my travels. Sure, that's no problem. She then manifested a map out of thin air and passed it to me. Do you mind if I stay here for a while and study some of the magic? I have some skills in Asgardian magic. You practice magic? She looked shocked. She should be. There are no mana fluctuations near me when I am not in my battle mode. At least this give me a trump card, for she won't be able to know my level of mastery. Well, you can stay here for as long as you want, knowledge is available here for everyone here at Comatage. Well, this at least solves my problem of information gathering. Comment. 55 comments. Vote. Chapter 42, 41 Travel. Been walking in Kamataj for the past few days, met a lot of people, found out that I am in the year 1938. Quite near the events of Captain America First Avenger. I can't go and get the Tesseract right now. I only know that it is in Germany somewhere and the Red Skull will find it later on, so let's just wait for him to make my work easy. Time Stone is so near me right now. I had seen the Ancient One wearing the Eye of Agamotto when she had come to greet me. Asgardian magic and the magic practiced on Earth is quite different, mainly due to the difference in physique and soul of the humans and my species. Humans have weaker physique and soul as compared to us, making them a bit weaker in controlling mana, though they still channel mana taken from different dimension. Haven't seen Mordo or Kiselus here, so they must be coming here in later years. Suddenly I was approached by Ancient One, author here. Can we use some short form when referring to here? Always writing her name as Ancient One feels strange. Drop a comment of what you want her name to be. The comment with most like wins. Hello Mr. Asmund, how are your days going in Kamataj? They are going well. I like the atmosphere here, people working together and learning magic. Oh yes, that's the beauty of this place, except for a few things everything else is taught to whosoever wants to learn it. Have you thought about learning magic? No, I am thinking of leaving soon. Want to travel and look around this place. I am happy with what I know. Any plans for a specific place? May I suggest a visit to the Paris? It's a beautiful place. Maybe I will go to Paris sometime in the future. For now I will travel on foot and go wherever the road takes me. Well then, I wish you well on your journey. I browsed through the library of Kamataj for the next few days and left. A few months later. I have been traveling for the past few months, crossed Nepal, then entered India and have been here for the past few weeks. I did get some eyes raised when I was walking amongst the people, mainly due to my looks, so I casted a looks changing spell so that I can blend in with the native. I had decided to leave Kamataj as while I was there I always felt like I was under observation by the Ancient One. Don't get me wrong, in the movies she was a good person, but I can't take my chances in the comics. Ancient One was pretty powerful, though I think I can fight her and survive, but it would be difficult to defeat her as she has the Time Stone with her right now. It's good that she doesn't know I can use magic. It will be a good trump card if I have to ever fight her. I have been in India for the last few months. It's a good place, though it has no independence and is under the control of British. I am currently in Bombay. It's 1942 right now. World War is at its peak. I know that Red Skull would be getting the Tesseract any time this year and Steve would be undergoing his operation this or the next year. I will be leaving for Bengal in a few days, from where I will board a ship for USA. I could just teleport, but I want to take in some sights of the journey. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Still on hiatus. Was free the last day, so wrote this in free time. Currently I have too much work to do, so don't expect updates. Just wanted to remind you guys that the novel and I both are still alive. One more thing, do you guys want him to travel the world for a while, or should we jump in directly in the events of First Avenger? Comment. 41 comments. Vote. Chapter 43, 42 Pro Patria Mori. Finally in the US of A. I never did come here in my previous life, though it's still 1943 not 2019. I roamed around few of the states for the better part of the past year, waiting for the timeline to start and going around to different enlistment centers so as to get a sight of Steve. Saw less amount of males as I thought I would. I am pretty sure that Red Skull should have the Tesseract by now. Current I am in New York. Saw a bar, so decided to have a drink to blow off some steam. Entered the bar to find a few people sharing a drink called loneliness, but it is better than drinking alone. The bar wasn't much, just a normal one, though it did look like it had seen better days. Sat on the counter and saw the barman approach me. "Give me the strongest drink you have." Saying so, I placed some money on the counter. For those wondering about where I got the money, I just borrowed it using teleportation magic from a bank, nothing much. Barman, who is a chatty guy named Joe, had a limp leg. He placed a big cup on my table and started to talk about his business with me. "I tell you, man, business ain't going good nowadays. Most of the boys are off to fight, having unrealistic dreams of glory. They don't know shit about war," said Joe while pouring a glass for himself. "You ever been in a war?" I asked. "Yeah, in the first one, no amount of glory for the dead was enough reimbursement," he said so while taking a big chug of his glass. "Only two ways to motivate young hormone-filled men, women and money. They ain't got enough money, so they use women, making it seem like they would be extremely proud to see men die for them on field." I said, totally agreeing with him. I was one of those young men back then, joined the war reading the poems of a certain poetess, completely convinced that it will bring a lot of glory and ladies to me when I will tell them about being in the war. It did nothing but give me scars for my life, both mental and physical. The sights that you see during the war, these young guys can't imagine it right now, but once they see it they will never forget it. You enlisted? No, this one is not a war for me to fight, I replied, taking a sip of my drink. Do whatever suits you. I tell you, it's right to fight for what you think is right, but those people who started the war the second time are nothing more than power-seeking bastards, not caring a dime about the lives lost. They already fought once and knew the consequences of the war, still didn't stop once to think about starting it again. He took a deep sigh, taking a large gulp of his drink, and left me to think about everything that he had said. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. Just a filler chap. Placed a reference to one of my favorite song in it. Can you all find it? Comment. 31 comments. Vote. Chapter 44, 43. Meeting the First. I have been looking around different enlistment camps so as to get a look at Steve. It is only in New York that I caught a sight of him going inside an enlistment center. He came out after a while looking dejected. I tailed him after that so as to take a look at him. He was just as scrawny looking as he was shown in the movie, and looking at him really made me amazed about how good of a super soldier serum Eskrin made, and at his mind. To make such a powerful serum with no side effects in this time period, a feat which is repeated ever again in the future, at least without any side effects. I see Steve walking around dejected and entering some alleys. I follow after him and see him get in altercation with some boys, all of which were bigger than him. Steve tries to fight them but is shoved down every time he tries to fight back. But he gets up every time. Sigh. That persistence of him to always do what is right is really a bother. Maybe this is why Eskrin choose him. Eskrin did say that the serum enhances everything about the user. Well, I should intervene. Hey, what are you boys doing there? Hearing my voice, the three of the boys run away. You shouldn't try to fight when you are outnumbered and weaker than the people before you, I told him. Steve picks himself up and looks at me to say, but a person should fight for what is right. True strength is having, haha, the courage to fight against wrong. Damn still the Boy Scout. I bent down to pick up some papers that Steve had dropped. So you trying to enlist? Didn't know that the army enlists kids. I am not a kid. And yes, I am trying to enlist but rejected every time. Why? Sorry. Why do you try to enlist again and again, even though you are rejected every time? Just take a look at yourself. Do you think that someone like you is going to make a difference by being there? Steve looks at me straight into my eyes and says with determination, I may not be strongest or the smartest person around, but if I could even save a single life by giving my own, then I am happy. And what makes you sure that you can save that life with how you are right now? Steve looks a bit conflicted at that but regains his composure. I'll find a way. I give him a pat on his shoulder while simultaneously placing a tracking charm on him. Well, I hope you find a way to do what you want. But even if you don't, just remember that you are destined for greatness, and I am saying this just to console you, but on the basis of your attitude. Always remember it's our attitude which shapes our personality. Saying so, I walk away, leaving Steve thinking about our conversation. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. Man, what an ending did Endgame had. Comment. 20 comments. Vote. Chapter 45, 44 Joining Howling Commandos. Meeting Steve was fun. I have been keeping a track of where he has been going for the past few days. He met Bucky a few days back. I took some blood sample from Steve and Bucky when they were not paying attention. It will come in handy after both of them go through their procedures as a means to compare the processes both of them went through. I saw Steve being approached by Eskrin and then being recruited by him. A few days later. So today's the day Steve is going for his procedure. I saw Agent Carter escorting Steve with her, and then I entered along with the colonel and the government officers, blending in with them. As the procedure was going on, I picked up a vial or two. And before you all judge it as stealing, realize that this serum is the most close a person has ever come to enhancing human strength without side effects. Being here also presented me with an opportunity to save Eskrin, but I didn't pay heed to that train of thought, as Eskrin's dead is an important plot point for Steve, and imagine if Eskrin survives, the United States Army will probably force him to give up the secret behind the serum and create an army of super soldiers. I shuddered at the thought of thousands of people all enhanced with the super soldier serum going to fight. Pretty sure that the world war would then end with USA becoming a dictator power over every other nation. Though it would end the fight way sooner. Everything proceeds just the way it did in the movies. Steve comes out jacked with everyone surprised at his change. Eskrin getting shot and there is panic in the room. Steve runs after the Hydra agent while I subtly leave. After leaving, I immediately go and get myself enlisted. They did a series of tests and even took some blood. All the people there were surprised as I had more strength than a usual human. Not by much, as I did restrained myself, but yeah, enough to get noticed by some higher ups to pull some strings and have me beside themselves protecting them. A job I did well enough to earn their trust. Nothing differs from the movie. Steve is then made a poster boy for war propaganda till he goes and rescues Bucky and the other and forms his Howling Commandos. And through some divine intervention, cough cough my magic, the higher ups decided to put me in the Howling Commandos. Imagine Steve's surprise when he saw me. Comment. 26 comments. Vote. Chapter 46, 45 First Avenger ends. Steve was looking at me with a surprised expression and comes forward to greet me. I didn't get your name last time, said Steve while extending his hand to shake mine, though I could still see the sorrow in his eyes. I grabbed his hand and said, what did you do, bath in the blood of virgins? I try to lift up his spirits. Steve takes me and explains to me about his procedure. I try my best to act shocked while he was going through his explanation. I had joined Howling Commandos after Bucky had fallen from the train. I didn't want to join before so as to change any event that results in the formation of Winter Soldier. He is an important character in Steve's arc and especially needed for Civil War to happen. We completed many missions together until we were given a final mission to strike down the last Hydra outpost where Red Skull was. The events follow what goes on in the film. I busy myself fighting Hydra soldiers while Steve goes after Red Skull. I reach there in time to hear Steve telling Peggy about how he has to take a rain check. I put my hands around Peggy and console her when we no longer hear Steve's voice. We then go back and report our mission to the superiors. For those wondering about why I didn't run after and get the Tesseract, the reason is that it fell in ocean somewhere. I don't even know how to locate it in such big area, and why should I work hard in finding it when Howard will ultimately find it while looking for Steve? I will simply borrow it then. I then go on to hand in my retirement request to the superiors. I had nothing left to do there anyway. They requested me to do one final mission, an unsanctioned one, though they would still accept my retirement request even if rejected, but since I was free I accepted their proposition. Meanwhile while all this was happening I went and met Peggy a couple of times. She was as headstrong as she was before Steve not letting his supposed death haunt her. She even invited me to join an organization that she would be starting. Though she didn't give me many details of it. I declined, telling her that I was done with all the fighting, but she could always rely on me for help. I told her that I would be leaving for Canada in a few days to do my final mission. I reached Canada a few days later. My mission was to look around and confirm whether Canada was working on human experimentations. I had the report of where the labs were, and my job was to infiltrate it and find whatever I could. Infiltrating the lab was easily I went past all the guards until I heard a hoarse voice say, "You could get past the others but not me." And who I turn around to see shocks me to my core. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. So I have decided on a love interest for MC, but if I somehow butcher it while writing her character, as it is quite difficult for me to write her character, then please be lenient with your criticisms. And don't go shouting at me. Comment. 15 comments. Vote. Chapter 47. 46 Chapter name in author's note. I saw a short stature person with claws coming out of his hands, bony claws. At least he has not gone through the Weapon X procedure yet. Standing before me was Wolverine James Howlett in all his glory before he was experimented upon. I was extremely shocked to see him in MCU cause he was never there in the canon. I think he thought that I was surprised on seeing his claws. Wolverine runs towards and pounces on me. I sidestep, letting him fall, but not before one of his claw slashes a cut on my shirt. That was my favorite shirt, I complain while I get in my fighting stance. Wolverine again rushes at me and I punch him straight in the jaw. Being taller definitely comes in handy. He is pushed back a few steps and holds his dislocated jaw and places it back in its space. "Now you have made me angry," shouts Wolverine, and just like a wild animal rushes at me without any reason. I toyed with him with my strength. Defeating Wolverine was too easy, but I just let him fight me so as to not hurt his pride. After a few banter back and forth in which I prevailed on top, I finally decided that it was enough and kneed him in the stomach and slammed him on the ground. Wolverine was now too much in pain and tired to stand up. I looked at a dog tag on his neck and snatched it. It said James Howlett at least. Confirming that I was right. I throw the dog tag at him and said, "So much for you being angry." He left out a groan, probably seething at the words I said. I looked around the lab and found no other mutants. Thought I knocked out all of the guards. I then left as there was nothing of interest for me. I had seen what all I needed to see, but I didn't go back and report it to the superiors. I had no reason to. Why would I inform them about mutants? That too this soon. Informing them about mutants would only make them fear mutants and use them as weapons this soon, probably causing some big butterfly effect. At most they will think that I died and label me Kia. That's okay with me, one less thing to worry about if they believe I am dead. So mutants are in this universe, so this must be an alternate universe, not exactly the MCU. I know I just assumed that it was Considering the people I saw. At least now there would be some fun to see the things that I can't expect. After a few weeks of my visit to Canada, I got to know that I was officially declared dead. That too of natural causes. I laughed at that. They just wanted to deny that I was sent by them to infiltrate one of their allies. Though I did let Peggy and few of the Howling Commandos who I trusted know that I was alive and asked them to keep this a secret. Creators' thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. Chapter name: The Wolverine. Wanted to let you all know that I will probably be ignoring the events of the TV shows and the Netflix shows, mainly because I haven't watched some of them. Though I might use the characters like Daredevil, Luke Cage and the others if I have to, but I would ignore the plots of the shows. Made a change in a line in CH45, so if you read that before this one was uploaded, then take a look at CH45 again. Comment. 12 comments. Vote. Chapter 48, 47 copied successfully. Few years have passed since I died of natural causes. This always gets a chuckle out of me. I have been traveling for all this time. Recently found out that Howard located the Tesseract and has it with him. It's my time to borrow it. I have the Tesseract with me. Was quite easy to go in there and just waltz out with it. I have been thinking for a while on how to keep it with me while also placing it back in its original place so as to not interfere with canon over there. I am thinking of cloning it, try to make its copy so as to use its power, even though they might be weaker than the original, but it should work at the very least. The Tesseract is in the end energy. What if I could copy it, make a copy of the energy and keep that copy with me? To try to do this, I found a secluded spot on the Himalayas. Pretty sure no one would disturb me here, and try to do so. After 10 to 15 years I was finally able to achieve a limited breakthrough. I had finally made a copy of the Tesseract, though it paled in comparison to the original. Still, it was impressive in its own right. Now my next step is to incorporate the copy to me, as such it will not get separated from me. I didn't try to do it with the original, as doing so would have killed me. The Infinity Stones in all their power cannot be wielded by any race without some repercussions. And to incorporate it with one's body would destroy the body slowly but surely. But this copy I could easily incorporate it with me. Incorporating it within me went without a hitch. Now I could use the power of the Tesseract and teleport anywhere I want to, even taking people with me without having to have visited the place before. I could even make pocket dimensions now. With my job finished with the Tesseract, I went and placed it back in Shield's storage. I had placed a spell over there before I had borrowed the Tesseract so as to know if anyone was coming to look for it. I removed the spell and placed it back in its position and left once again without any problems. After a while, since I was free, I decided to go and check up on Peggy. I went to Peggy's house and sat on a chair meditating while waiting for her to come. Late in the night I heard the sound of door unlocking. "Welcome home," I shouted. Peggy turns towards me, taking a gun out from somewhere and aiming it at me. "Jesus, Valley, you are lucky that I recognized your voice, otherwise I would have shot you," said Peggy while bringing down her gun. "It's good to see you too, Peggy. You don't look a day older than what you looked like when I last saw you," said Peggy. "Well, I will take that as a compliment." I then sat down with Peggy and discussed what had happened with each other since we last saw each other. She told me about how they have founded S.H.I.E.L.D. and interesting tales of her missions, while I told her about my travels to different places on Earth. She even asked me to join S.H.I.E.L.D., but I told her that I was more than happy being dead. Ultimately I had dinner with her and left after wishing her well. Creators' thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. Major time skip coming up ahead. I will maybe ignore the events of Captain Marvel, don't know about that yet. I thought of letting Peggy know that Valley was a Asgardian, but ultimately decided against it. It would have been useless to tell her that right now. Comment. 23 comments. Vote. Chapter 49, 48 Pocket Dimension. So yeah, after bidding goodbye to Peggy. I left back to my sanctuary in Himalayas. I made it much better than it was before. It will act as my headquarters. Installed a centralized air conditioning system to control the temperature inside the cave so that if any guest comes in he doesn't feel too cold. Made it hospitable for people to live in a guest room, beds, dinner table, etc. Maybe we can use this as the headquarters for Avengers. After I was done with that I went for a sleep. Technically I don't need to sleep much, but since I hadn't slept for a while I decided why not. After a few days of sleeping I woke up and decided to do something. Maybe I have no idea about what to do till Iron Man starts. Still so many years till that happens. I decided to work on a pet project of mine. The idea of this came to me after I incorporated the Tesseract clone with me. I am going to use the clone to create a pocket dimension and store my mana in it. So let's get on with it. But I don't think I should do it on Earth. My strong mana would probably alert Ancient One. So I left for Mars, not because of any special reason, just remembered Dr. Manhattan and how he used to spend his time on it. Then I went on with my work making a sustainable pocket dimension. Is difficult. Even with the clone I could create the pocket dimension easily, but it wouldn't remain alive or existing for a long time. It would die after a while. It took me years to finally make a sustainable pocket dimension. I then went into my battle mode. Damn, I usually forget this, but I feel very powerful in my battle mode. I then went on to supply my mana into the dimension. I filled it as much as I could. At that time the dimension had a limit for now. It was not infinite. Had I made it using the real Tesseract it may have been infinite, but I didn't have it with me now, though even this limited works well. Now coming to the gauntlet, I won't be throwing it away. It's a dwarfen creation. It's just so powerful and could act as a diversion and making people think that it was the source of my mana. Just another card that I can hide if I have to fight anyone who knows or suspects about the gauntlet being the source of my mana. Finished with my work I left to go back to Earth. On my way back I saw a ship crashing on Earth. How unexpected, and with that I leave to follow it. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. Thanks to user morning_fragrance for the idea of pocket dimension. Comment. 24 comments. Vote. Chapter 50. 49 So what's your name? I follow the trail of the spaceship reaching down on the ground. I see a completely destroyed blockbuster. I look around to find a security guard sitting gawking at me. Hey man, do you know who did this? I say it to him in my most pleasant voice I could. He pointed towards a payphone where I saw a woman wearing a Kree uniform. Didn't think that I would see a Kree Star Force on Earth. She turns around to look at me and eyes me suspiciously. And I didn't think I will see an Asgardian on C-53. C-53, that's your designation for Earth. I chuckled at this. I felt a guy coming towards us. Excuse me, miss. Did you know anything about a lady blowing a hole through the roof of that blockbuster over there? Witness says she looks dressed for laser tag. I turned towards him to see Nick Fury. I wasn't surprised to see him, but was surprised to see him with both of his eyes. Nick turns towards me and says, "And you, mister, I was told you came looking after her." Just then we are attacked by the Skrulls. The lady chased after them while Nick follows her as I escape in this ensuing confusion. I found Nick and the lady later on, in a car. "Hey, missed me?" I said, looking at them with a cocky grin. They come out of the car and Fury looks at me. "And who are you, mister? Cause I have had enough strangeness for today. I don't think I can handle any more of it," said Nick. "Well, Fury, I would hope you are ready for more and can handle it." I then looked at the lady. "And who may you be, miss?" "I think it is the manner for the one asking should be the one to answer first," she said. "Well, my mistake. The name of this fellow is Valley Asmond." I told them. Nick was the first to react. What, you a fan of the Norse mythology or what? She steps forwards and says. Was member of Kree Star Force. So was, why are you on Earth if you are here to hurt the people of Earth? If so, then we have a problem. I say this while making myself look as intimidating as I could and also while looking in her eyes. She replied my stare without flinching. Nick was standing beside us speaking some gibberish which both of us were ignoring. Finally Vaz spoke. I am not here for the people here, I am here because of the Skrulls. They want something that they are looking for in this planet. Well then I will just tag along to see what they are up to. I hope you have no problems with that. Saying so I sat in Nick's car. Nick was shouting now at the top of his voice, angered at being ignored for so long. He was against me joining and spoke about it, but Vaz and I just ignored him while acting cool.